Greetings, everyone, and welcome! It's once again time to talk about Dark Sun. Are you ready? Join me in touring the city of Urik today. That's where we're going. We're heading back to Athas and talking about Urik. So, grab your hats, get on your desert clothes, and prepare for a tough journey into the wastes of Athas, because they're never pleasant. Anyway, to Athas we go! Hey. So, of course, there are some sources that I use that I can recommend for further research. Boom, there they are. But let's talk Athas. And let's talk Urik, the City of Lions. Alright. So here is the region of the city-states. I've used this map before, but I can hope you can see it again. And Urik is up at the top. It's kind of hard to point out here, but there's this big kind of like kidney shape at the top. That's where it is on the map. We'll zoom in a minute. What do we know about Urik? Well, it's a place that its Sorcerer King, the King of Urik, Hamanu, boasts about its greatness, for good reason. It is one of the most powerful of the city-states. It has a teeming army, enormous walls, bustling commerce, wise sages, and it's governed very orderly. Not that it isn't a very horrible and oppressive dictatorship. It is, but it's got order. And that order is controlled very heavily by the framework in place. The legions of Urik have never met defeat. And any time that Hamanu has entered into battle, he has never run. The importance of any place in the Tyr region in relation to Urik is known. If Hamanu wants something done, or is thinking about something in the region, you will know it. Even if it's not a different city-state, even if it's a different Sorcerer King, even if it's different anyone. His decisions are very important in the entire region. Urik is organized, it's militarized, it has laws with lengthy documentation known as Hamanu's Code that govern both commerce and taxes, holidays, standards for construction, artistry. It dictates family arrangements like weddings, care for elders, and funerals. So it's a pretty in-depth law with a lot of details. Templars test the children of the city and arrange for them into vocations which are well suited. The city aspires for meritocracy, and that's what it kind of looks like on the surface. But it's really surface level deep. It sounds so great when I'm kind of selling it here for a moment. But patronage, influence, those kind of things web their way into. So honestly speaking, if you've got the right parents, if you've got the right amount of influence, hey, you can get to an important post and station regardless of where you would have probably ended up. Connections matter. And it's an unfortunate part of Urik that you can't get away from. So again, other than that, stability. It does seem to be that, but as I mentioned, it's very oppressive. And the oppressive nature of it comes down to the efficiency and the number of Templars Hamanu employs. Of course, with the fall of the Sorcerer King of Tyr, Hamanu has understood there is a delicate balance of things that has been going on. And mortals, slaying and removing a Sorcerer King isn't good for the balance overall. But Hamanu understands that Urik is not Tyr. Tyr, also oppressive, but much more so than Urik. Urik, oppressive, but maintains things a little bit better in certain ways. And so, he doesn't really fear his subjects. But he knows that, basically, keeping the masses to a degree happy is an important part of things. It's sort of like, you don't fear the masses. As long as you don't, you can be oppressive. But if you make that their lives are at least decent and they enjoy them, they won't really care about the oppression. And so he also knows that trade with other cities is very important, because it spreads the goods of Urk and brings other goods in and keeps things, commerce, important to the city. But he also knows that through commerce, things about what happened in Tyr could spread. So his Templars keep an eye on the city. Keep an eye on information coming from Tyr. Have spies in Tyr. Because he still worries. Now as you look at it at a glance, I did zoom in here. Well, I found a picture that's a zoom in. So you can see Urk all the way on the other side there. Next to the Dragon's Bowl and the, is that Lake Pit? Yeah. Pleasant sounding names. Let's take a little bit of information that's kind of like a basic overview of the city. It's a fortress city. Massive walls. It has a population, and the population defends the city fairly rapidly. There is about 20,000 people within the walls. Of course, it is also, like most city-states, surrounded by plantations and kind of farms and stuff that make up a lot more of the population. Humans are about 3/5 of the population. Goliaths are pretty numerous, and among the largest minority races, followed by dwarves, moles, and halflings, though there are some Brykeens, elves, and other species that are represented in Urk as well. For water, they have runoff from the Ringing Mountains. They're nearby to them. When I had the larger map, the Ringing Mountains were slightly farther to the west, so they get some actual water coming down from there. And they have deep wells throughout the city that supply all the neighborhoods with drinking water. They have irrigated lands nearby, and they draw water from oases found nearby. So this is a city-state with water. Most city-states are built in areas that have water. That's why they're built there. For supplies, economy. It's bustling. It is famed for their pottery here. So, Urkian, or Urkitite pottery, very famous. But they also have a lot of obsidian. Obsidian tools and weapons are common because of, just pointing up at it, the shocking crown. Sorry, if I read my own things here. Yeah, there's mines up in there for obsidian. We'll talk about it a little bit. But so common weapons and tools from there. They have herds that surround in the surrounding land. Vast ones that produce leather, meat, chitin, and cank nectar from the various herd animals. So, a lot of material here. Well supplied, well fed, well watered, well defended. You can understand how, yeah, can't say there isn't distress in Urk, but it's not the same as Tyr. Army. Well. First is the Imperial Guard, which consists of 1,000 half-giants. People that are directly defending Hamanu. Hamanu can also field an army of 10,000 slave warriors and professional soldiers. He's also served by a company of 200 halfling scouts and slave catchers, who were sent by a gift from the chieftain of the Forest Ridge town of Oga. Basically, trade with the slightly more savage halflings of an area. It's a little, like, specialized army from them that are quite effective. Keep on good terms with your neighbors in the right ways. Manu is smart, though. And if you're going to go visit Urk as a traveler, the Potter Square and Obsidian Quarter both have fine accommodations. They're very much so the exact same thing. It's a lot of uniformity in Urk. So inns and taverns are identical, and if you want something with a little bit more character, go to the Old District. The oldest parts of Urk where they don't have this structure like they built into. Just some things to keep in mind. Now, a little bit of history here we can talk about. Just as something that's important is to talk about this folk here, which does break into some major history that happened on Urk. Urk, there hasn't been a lot of changes for, like 1,000 years. But Rikus of Tyr, this one here, led a ragtag gladiator army in assault on the heart of the city. The damage has been repaired, blended with the older fortifications, but Urik is here. He failed. But, that's probably one of the more major events historically that has been a major disruption in the city itself. So something to keep in mind. The city isn't without a little bit of mess, in a way. But it's just a little bit. Who's this? Hamanu. This is the Sorcerer King Hamanu. Now, Hamanu is a Sorcerer King. Yeah, obviously. It's one of those things that you mention that and you're like, I've talked about Sorcerer Kings in the past, so I hope folks have seen my videos and kind of understood kind of who they are. They're very powerful spellcasters who, are the lords of Athas as they are. Known for bringing extinction to the troll race. Yes, trolls are extinct on Athas because of this dude. One of the things he's known for. Also, known for having the ability to transform into a giant lion. Why he's called the Lion of the Desert. Why Urik is known as the City of Lions. He can transform into a giant one. He's a powerful spellcaster. So yeah. Just a little bit on the interesting character of Hamanu. Hamanu. I'm gonna say it correctly. That's me and my bad pronunciation of names. So, his Templars insist that his code is Divine Blessing. And bless that the Sorcerer's Kingdom descend upon his people, they could prosper and grow. It's, hey, the God, our God, Hamanu, blessed us with this code. Laws are oppressive, and they're just prerogatives of the king, his Templars, and the noble classes. That's all they are for the city. It's just things that are prerogatives. The average citizen knows that the code exists to protect the people in charge, but they don't grumble about it. Big thing about it is being draconian. There isn't any street crime. I mean, there's some good parts about that. So Hamanu does take an active role in governing. He involves himself in civic functions, dispensing justice, monitoring food supplies, overseeing soldiers' training. So he is a Sorcerer King who's front and center, checking on all his stuff. I think that's another reason why he's more confident. He's front and center there, checking things. He's not delegating it as some of the other Sorcerer Kings and Queens do. But he's also a difficult master to please. He expects the dedication he gives from his servants. And that's an important thing about him, too. Because he will get rid of anyone who doesn't meet his high expectations. He expects you to have the same dedication as he do, or you're gone and can just be replaced. If you are as dedicated as him to the city and to the defense of Urik, that's important. Now, I don't have particular images of Urik's Templars, but I do have some of a generalized Templar. So we can talk about the Templars and the Sirdars, the nobles of Urik. The Templars themselves have a lot of power, but they don't really have a lot of luxury. Like other city-states, oftentimes the Templars both match power and luxury. Hamanu sees them as extensions of his will and presence, and would think nothing of sacrificing one of these Templars and discarding them for no reason, just as he would any person. They fulfill a lot of functions. They enforce laws, collect taxes, oversee slaves, lead warriors in battles, fettering out enemies of the state. They're known for their yellow cloaks or capes as a badge of office, and no one else is permitted to wear a similar color garment. So that's one of the ways we can tell the Templars apart. Low-ranking Templars will live in a military discipline type style, but if you become a high-ranking Templar, you're awarded a noble title and an estate as a sign of Hamanu's favor. So Hamanu does reward those in his favor, interestingly enough. We have to talk about Sirdars, because they're the nobles of Urik. They're the people that are permitted to own land. Interestingly enough, They collect rent from free tenant farmers, or they have their retainers oversee slaves' worked fields. So it's a combination of slaves or just tenant farmers. The property that Hamanu gives these Sirdars is recognition of achievements. Great warriors, high-ranking Templars, priests, magistrates, distinguished officials become landowners and collect rents and crops from their estate. Gaining an office that carries the elevation of Sirdar class is often a matter of politics. So getting to this point in time where you get land, very political. But Hamanu is sincere in rewarding Urkites who are exceptional ability that serve them. So over the years, there have been some common-born citizens who have gained estates and merits on their own and become nobles. You play the game in his city, and you earn his favor. You get stuff. It's not easy. There are people in positions that have positioned themselves to get it first, but it doesn't mean it can't happen. So there is an upward momentum here, or upward societally in Urk, rare as it is. If you are awarded lands, you will pass it to your Sirdar descendants, who will keep them and the title as long as they maintain the holdings in good order. So as long as your descendants maintain those holdings, they keep it. Children of Sirdar families are expected to make something of themselves, and most seek a high rank in the army or become Templars or other officials. So it's sort of like, even if you are not directly inheriting the estate, which someone will, the rest of your family is expected to go into those high positions because you are of a noble family. You are expected to basically follow in the footsteps. Let's talk about the city. And here's a nice map of Urik, as you can see here. Alright. The area around here is hilly. It's between the Ringing Mountains meet the Tablelands, so it's a very hilly area. Urik itself sits in a very fertile belt maintained by the irrigation of the deep wells. Grain fields, fruit-bearing orchards surround the city-state in neat rows. Very ordered. Remember, it's very orderly around here. It gleams. Its stone walls stepped in yellow pigments made from the sulphurous waters of the Lake of Golden Dreams nearby. Statues of bold bipedal lions march to war across the walls. Lion's head carved from stone serve as merlons atop the dizzying walls, where sentries stand guards, bows never far from their hands. There are 4 gates into the city. Slave Gate sees heavy traffic. Caravans bound to and fro from the city, and especially from the obsidian mines in the Smoking Crown. Nobles and Templars enter and exit through the High Gate. And other visitors will head into and out of the city through the Obsidian Gate and the King's Gate. Half-giant guards, archers, and war Templars staff the towers at each gate, rigorously questioning those who enter. The place is full of mostly straight roads, clean lines, brick-paved streets. Most districts' houses and buildings are uniform, almost identical except for markings that designate function or owner. If you're unaccustomed to the style, you can become lost here very easily. In addition, you will find Hamanu's likeness everywhere. The yellow and white glazed walls feature brilliant murals capturing the mighty king's many exploits. He spared no expense to showing the people do not forget him. Outside the walls, the area is mostly barren except for the areas that have been irrigated and transformed into fields. So there's these like kind of green vineyards, orchards, and fields beneath looming gray, brown hills. The 4 roads, of course, are Obsidian Way, leading to Smoking Crown, the city mines. The high road that leads to Malacca, which is an important client village. The trade way heads south towards Silver Spring Oasis, and the road of Kings travels east to Tehran. Of course, also outside the walls are the City of the Dead, the Graveyard. The Urkites sometimes refer to it as the Boneyard. 3 Sisters, which are very massive hills where they can find an observatory to study the skies on them. The Old District. It has very simple stone buildings, tight, twisting streets. It's a maze. It's disorganized, it's set apart from other areas of the city, it is home to thousands of laborers, artisans, and warriors. Of course, this is where the King's Gate is. The King's Gate is a site where Hamanu declared himself King of Urik. An obsidian statue depicting the ruler in his youth commemorates the events. There's also the Old Market here, with reasonable prices and exotic goods. A shabby open-air bazaar, attracting customers from all over the city. You can find spices, herbs, rare cosmetics, illegal items such as ritual components and poisons. Templar rarely raid the market. Markets such transactions safer here than the rest of Urik. So if you want to find something a little less legal, go to the Old Market. For the Artisans' Quarter, well, extends to the west of the Potter's Square, is the Artisans' Quarter, a rich commercial district where most Urikites shop for foodstuffs, finished goods, and commodities. Prices are high here, but the quality is second to none. So, you're going to get effectively what you paid for. Of course, Potter's Square is here, the open-air courtyard filled with potter's wheels, wells, and massive stone kilns. This is where a lot of the pottery that is very well known for in Urik is formed. Platters, casks, urns, and other pieces come from the square, all featuring metallic glazes, styled astronomical features, animal carvings, and of course, Hamanu's likeness. The King's Cup is also here, which is a small, unassuming shop here, which may have some things going on in there. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, not to be known by the general public. The Faring Quarter is a small neighborhood southwest of Potter Square, where houses people not born in the city, as well as those of people other than humans. Dwarves, elves, Thrykeens, and others find shelter in this very cramped community. The Elven Market is here, though, too, which is not far from the Obsidian Gate, where elf merchants set up tents and makeshift stalls to sell exotic goods from all over the region. It is the most dangerous than any of the other common parts in the city-states, and unfortunately very few humans would explore its nook and crannies for special things they want because of the danger. Beggar's Palace is also here, a crumbling building where a lot of, people that don't have homes have set up. The Obsidian Quarter. It was once the mining district of Urik. It has a quarry there. That quarry has long since, been abandoned, exhausted, for over a century now. And the new site, of course, lies outside the city, down the Obsidian Road. Now this is the emporium of merchant dynasties that have taken over the place, including House Stell, one of the major ones in the city here. The strongest trading house in the entire state. Of course, it does have this nice yawning cavity at the southwest corner, where the quarry once was. What was it made into? The fighting arena. The large obsidian quarry now houses gladiator games. Wooden scaffolding rings the pits, allowing spectators to watch the action unfolding in the arena below. It's hated for its high temperatures and jagged walls of broken obsidian. It tests gladiators severely, and that's why it's known as the Pit of Black Death. And those who fight here are gladiators that are breed apart. Of course, we do mention the brooding fortress of the Obsidian Quarters. The Stell House is here with its 12 slender towers. The Patriarch is rarely present in the house, since business keeps him in the field. The High Quarter, of course, is along the western side of the city, between the Templar district and the Artisan Quarter. It's a walled noble district. It displays enormous wealth. No common houses front the streets. Great estates, mansions, demonstrating luxury of Urik's elites. The palaces, gardens, armories, barracks, maintained and of the manors are dazzling. And of course their splendor hails besides the Urikites' slender obsidian spires that rise in various places throughout the High Quarter. No one lives in these towers, and only those of proper station can climb them and peer out on the city, or take to the heavens from the observatory platforms at their top. They're excellent views of the city walls. Templar District exemplifies discipline that Hamanu expects in his junior Templars. Every block is made up of identical straight streets with narrow alleyways. Each house is 3 stories, the bottom 2 floors painted yellow, and the top red. Only the cartouches adorning each door set the structures apart. The most powerful Templars gather in a fortified manor called the Palace of the High Templars, which is hidden behind double walls at the center of the district. And finally, well, almost finally, we have Destiny's Kingdom, where Hamanu rules Urik from, his compound. The grounds include the offices of his Templars, the city mint, his armories, his storehouses, the Imperial Guard barracks, massive broad structure of training grounds, drill yards, mess halls, and impressive armories. His palace is here, a mighty fortress of stone turrets with 60-foot-tall ramparts carved with lion-headed Marilons, and no one is permitted to enter the sacred structure without the Sorcerer King's invitation. Rumors that he keeps fabulous wealth in deep vaults, galleries showcasing plunder from many conquests, incredible gardens, where he communes with the spirits of the land. Of course, he also has a bigger temple here, the Temple of the Lion God, because he is divine! And this area fosters his divinity with dedicated priests and priestesses. It's open to the public, who want to hear sermons about the coming glory of their Sorcerer King and God. And of course, the King's Academy is here. The Templars scour Urik for those that show talent in the way. Now, just as a side note, in case you are a little unfamiliar with the way, and you haven't seen anything else where I talk about it, is the way of the unseen discipline of psionic study. So it's people that study psychic. When I talk about the way, talking about psionics. Anyway, they train them here at the King's Academy. This intuition fosters loyalty to Sorcerer King while grooming students to become useful subjects and Templars when they reach adulthood. So yes, these children are taken from their families and brought here, where they live and train in their psionic abilities. And of course, the final area to mention is, of course, the slave compound. Between the Templar district and Destiny's Kingdom is the slave compound. Interesting that it's kind of nestled in between two major powerhouses with a lot of armed guards. It's sealed off from the rest of the city-state by an impregnable gate, and a high-walled compound is an open courtyard with muddy lanes, squalid wattle and daub houses. Stone doors stand across the compound, granting access to Destiny's Kingdom beyond. Most are kept here to serve, and usually die in the grueling obsidian quarters of the Smoking Crown. Quarters. Those pressed in the military have separate quarters and occupy barracks in the slave compound in Destiny's Kingdom and outside the city. So if you press the military service, you probably have a little better of a life as a slave here. Yes. Urik. An interesting city-state, because it certainly is probably one of the more well-developed city-states in a lot of ways. And it doesn't mean it's not a place filled with oppression. Hamanu sees to that himself very often, or has his Templars directly involved in it. But nonetheless, if it's a place that you want to visit or have adventure, there's plenty to do there. It's not going to be like Tyr, where things are volatile and the death and change of a god of the city, a Sorcerer King, has caused many effects. But nonetheless here, Hamanu rules and keeps order and keeps the military strength of Urik high. Alright, everybody. I hope you did enjoy joining me today. Remember to check out all my other tabletop stuff. I'm just going to give a quick shout out to some things. If you want to join me over on Twitch Live, they're Tuesdays and Thursdays right now. That's the current schedule as of this video. Maybe moving around there in the afternoons. Exact time, usually between 1 and 2. You want to check it out on YouTube? Everything goes up on YouTube later on. Crimson Queen, Wednesdays, 9 p.m. EST right now. Discuss K-pop Saturdays at 6. I have social media, Discord, and Twitter linked below. Remember, if you're over on Twitch, just give a follow. And if you're over on YouTube, give a like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the algorithm stuff to appease over there at very least. And hey, if any of you have done some adventures in Urik, or have some interesting ideas for some adventures now that you've heard about it, let me know in the comments. That'll be my question for the day. Let me know what you think about this place, or if you've had adventures here. It'll be an interesting thing. And I'll go chat maybe with just chat a little bit about it. Anyway, everybody, I hope you enjoyed, and until the next time we chat about Dark Sun, Athas, or anything else, I bid you a deep and wonderful farewell.